Okay, we're going to try this again for the 15th of 11 to the 10th power of the third degree of frustration. They mowing lawns. They look the fans look. I'm tired of apologizing for background noises. It just is what it is. So, welcome to another episode of Witches of the Moon. I am your host. I don't know who the hell I am right now. I was tired, boss. Um, this week we're talking about parallel paths, and I'm gonna have to stick to what I know. So, parallel paths are basically two paths, two separate paths that's going to take you to the same exact point. So, of course, I'm going to talk about the church. Now, before we even get into it, we say that it's not going to take us to the same point and blah, 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 blah. Read your Bible. Because in the Bible it says the kingdom of heaven, the whole point of church and the whole point of being a Christian or Christianity or being a Catholic is to go to heaven. Well, if you read the Bible, it says the kingdom of heaven is within. So then the kingdom of heaven was within. That means you're supposed to go within you and not without. A lot of people miss that part when it comes to the Bible or Abrahamic faith-based religions, I should say. And when it comes to the craft, basically everything that's within you, everything out you is a reflection of what's within you. So what you see in your perception outside of you is something going on within you, and vice versa. So we're going to start there. Just to explain, that they are parallel. They do take you to the same spot when when you read the Bible for yourself, I should say. Not the way someone taught you to read the Bible. Not the doctrine that they're giving to you by the Bible according to the certain set that you're in. When you read the Bible for yourself, you'll see a lot of things in it that are parallel. So let's start there. Okay, so now that we're in this parallel thing, what are more parallels? Well, church service is a parallel to most rituals and things done. How? In church services, you have to excuse me if I am like out of breath and outwinded. This is literally actually, I have to stop counting out how many times I tried to do this video between today and yesterday. So, and I haven't been asleep yet since yesterday. So I am ashy. I am hot. I'm sweaty. I just look. You gonna get what you gonna get today. I'm delirious. I'm in pain, but it's a good pain. You know that pain when when you're in pain, but you're getting stuff done. So it's pain. It hurts, but it's like, all right, this pain has a purpose. So you're cool with it. I'm in pain. My Advil done wore off hours ago, and honestly, I don't even think that Advil worked. And I totally went left. Back to what we were talking about. Okay. Church service, right? So the whole point is you're supposed to raise energy. Okay. In a ritual, you do movements. Okay. Okay. In order. Okay. Okay. I keep saying okay a lot. In order to connect to the spiritual, the physical has to do something. The physical needs to be distracted. The physical needs to be given something. This is the reason why you connect to the spiritual realm in sleeping, because your body is in a relaxed state. It is shut down for the night, and it's healing and doing what it's supposed to do, recuperating. During the day, this is what hobbies are for, whether it's painting or dancing to music or even reading a book. You believe it or not, to sit there and read a book takes a lot of control and muscle to stay still just to read a book. But in dancing and exercising, you keep moving and moving and moving, and it gets to a point where your body is moving and it's doing it and it's doing it, and your brain done went somewhere else. Your spirit done went somewhere else. You are now connected spiritually by the physical move, by the repetition of the physical movement. You now can connect spiritually. So it's the same thing with praise and worship. You're praising, you're worshiping, you get to the point where you're doing your spiritual dance. Y'all know. And A lot of people fake it nowadays. Let's be honest. A lot of people fake it, but that's a whole nother thing. Those who don't fake it, there's a point where, and there's always somebody who can see it. This is why we have ushers and things like that, who can see when someone's really connected to the spirit, and they make sure they protect them so that they don't hurt themselves. Which 9 times out of 10, they're really not going to hurt themselves. Even if you hit something, spiritually you're protected, so the body doesn't even register it. But anyway, come back to what I was saying. You get to the point where you connect spiritually, and in the spiritual connection, this is where you download messages or talk to deities, or the message come through you and things like that. So what happens? Praise and worship, you start with the drum bass, right? That doesn't sound like a drum, but that doesn't sound like it. Ew, that's not hard at all. Okay, we're gonna pretend like that sounded like a drum. And you start with the drum. You always start with guttural sounds. Guttural sounds is what sounds like footsteps. It calls it in. And then you go to the more angelic tones. I don't really like to say angelic tones, but that's what they're called, the higher pitches and stuff. We're told that there are, I'm going to leave that for another conversation, because if I start that, this conversation will go, all right. So we get there, we get the connection. Now, when you're doing it here in your own spirituality or your own traditional, cultural, spiritual group, you get to that point and they'll see the people who are being mounted. And what they'll do is they'll sit them down. There's the ones who are supposed to be mounted. There's the ones who may accidentally be mounted. They'll sit them down and they'll put them in a place where they can start receiving messages from them, or let them see, or protect them as they go to people to give messages. In the church, what they'll do is when that starts to happen, instead of letting the people who were supposed to go to, they direct the energy to the pastor. This is why the pastor is always brought out right after praise and worship. Once they get all that energy and all that stuff going, the pastor walks down the aisle, and as he walks down the aisle, she is literally gathering that energy as they go to the altar. And this is why a lot of pastors have a hard time reading directly from the Bible or from what they have written up as a sermon, because that energy is a lot to take in and have to decipher, especially when you have a huge church, and decipher what messages are for who, and you're the only person up there that has to give a message for everybody. It's a lot. If you haven't been in that position, it's kind of hard to explain. And I know it's really hard to explain for those who have been there under false teachings and false preachers and things like that. But humans are still humans. And okay, that's a whole nother conversation. So parallel, right? These two things are still parallel. The whole point of the service is to get you spiritually in tune to do what needs to be done in the next stage of your life, whether it be the next hour, the next day, the next week or so, until you need to come back again and regroup. And connect with spirit again. So now it's even more parallel when you bring it to the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church, we got our saints. The only difference is that what most people don't realize when you're dealing with the saints through the Catholic Church, the Catholic way, not the hidden hoodoo aspect of it underneath it, or the hidden, or how they hid the Orisha things underneath it. We talking about just the actual saints through the Catholic way. The only difference is when you deal with the Catholic saints as opposed to deities, is that you give a sacrifice to deities. When it comes to the Catholic saints, you are the sacrifice. You are a living sacrifice unto God. What does this mean? This means you're just like a sacrifice is given unto a deity, you are to give unto the saints. And how do you give it to the saints? Well, the saints don't really require much as opposed to give it to them directly. However, you have to learn the saints and learn what they did in life, and you give unto them by repeating what they did in life. So what does that mean? I want to say Saint Barbara, but that ain't the person I'm thinking of right now. Different saints did different things. Some saints gave to the homeless. Some saints were for children. Some saints were for different things. I told you my brain's everywhere. I'm tired right now. But whatever that saint did in life is what you're supposed to do. in life for other people. Now, the trick to it is you have to know who to do it for, when and where to do it. Because, like I said, you're not supposed to do it to be seen or given praise. However, you are to be giving back what you are to give out. That's a whole nother thing. Just like when you go to a deity and you give them, well, there are times where you're going to give them offerings and sacrifices just because, but there are other times you're going to give them stuff because this is a transactional deal. Boom, I need this done. And if you're doing it right, you really should have credit on your saints and deities, meaning you should be giving them offers stuff all the time for no reason, so that when you need something, while you're still going to give them something transaction, you also have a credit and a history built up with them. This is why you really shouldn't work with for most part, that's why you really shouldn't work with them for at least about a year. I mean, you definitely can, but for most people, especially for most people, they want to say you want to connect with them for at least about a year first, and then start going on for different stuff. Can you do it before? Yeah, you can. Would I suggest it? Yeah, depends on your practice. For me, I'm not doing it. Well, I would say I would do it depending on who it is. Because the saints are way more forgiving than some deities, and I can't tell you what to do with your ancestors. They're your ancestors. Most traditions will say wait, but they're your ancestors. You talk to them and you figure out what to do. That's all I can say about that. I don't know your ancestors. We ain't had no actual reading. We didn't do no, I don't know. Can't say about that one. But yeah, so there's parallels in that as far as the way that the church system is set up, and the way that it works and everything. As far as tithing is also the same way. When you tithe to the church, again, you have to remember you are the sacrifice. So when you're tithing, this is a while it is a sacrifice that you're making, it shouldn't be a struggle. I'll say that. It should never be a struggle, but this is something that you are supposed to do. However, when you tithe into the church, you should be tithing to a church that gives you a slip at the end that shows you what you have tithed, because that is a tax write-off. I'll let that one out there for you. So if you're tithing unto a church, make sure the church is keeping track of it. Unless you want to be secret. If you want to be secret, then fine. But if you're doing it, like if you're in a prosperity church and you're doing it for prosperity purposes, then you know what you're giving is supposed to be given unto you. However, what they don't teach you is that you have to make sure that it's given back to you. You have to keep track of what you're giving out for it to be given back to you. This doesn't mean being in people's face saying, oh, I did this for you, blah, 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 blah. No. Know that, hey, Spirit, I'm doing this for this. This is what I want back. And physically, well, first of all, the biggest spirituality right now that people not even paying attention to, or the biggest parallel to witchcraft right now, is paperwork. Paperwork is the biggest spell work people don't realize right now. Between contracts, everything has a contract. Everything has a contract. Everything is written down on paper. Even then, when we're talking, we have text messages, transcripts. Everything is recorded on some type of paper, be electronically or actual physical paper. That is the biggest parallel we have to spellcraft, to witchcraft right now, where they have the herbs and things like that, and now everything is signed into paperwork. So you are held to that paperwork. That is a spell. That is a binding. I'm going all over the place with this. I'm tired, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm going into 14 minutes. What else is parallel? Well, basically everything is parallel. Like I said, the point of it, you'll get the same results. And I always tell people, that are thinking about leaving the church, don't focus on the church so much. More so study your Bible. Study the history of it. Study the culture of it. Study the language of the time of it. Because a lot of people don't realize that every culture has their own form of slang, own form of terminology. So what something means today is not what something means. It's not what something meant yesterday. What am I hearing? Hold on, y'all. My bad. I'm tired. I'm sorry. So what was I saying? study the language. You need, if you really want to study the Bible, you're gonna need the thing that goes with the Bible. I can't think of the word, and you're also gonna need a lexicon. But you're gonna need the thing that goes with the Bible. You're gonna need a lexicon, because the thing that goes with the Bible is gonna give you one thing, but then it's gonna give you numbers to look up in the lexicon, and that lexicon will tell you something else much deeper. That's in there. Then if you go towards the Kabbalah aspect of it, whoo, child, that's a whole nother version of it. And then you have the left-hand path of it. By the time you go through that whole process, you will see the parallels of that and the craft, and how while it is deep, once you know, it's very simple and it's hidden in plain sight. So do that first before you decide to leave. Always stay within your comfort zone first, and then work from there. Work from your comfort zone. Work your way out your comfort zone. Don't just jump. Don't just, if you don't know how to swim, you're not going to jump 18 feet of water. You want to step into the kiddie pool first, and then learn to swim, and then learn to paddle, learn to tread water. Well, you actually learn how to tread water first, but you get the point. And then, get strength up, and then learn how to swim in deeper waters, and then learn how to go diving deep. You get the point. Yeah. So I'm going to leave that at that. Hopefully I made sense with the church stuff being parallel. You really don't have to leave it. You just have to learn how to use it for yourself. And that's pretty much it. So thank you for listening to me ramble. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm tired. I am going on, actually, I think I'm going on past 48 hours. What is it, 12 hours in a day? It's 24 hours a day, 24, 48. Yeah, I'm past 48 hours right now. Alright guys, so don't forget to thumbs up. Don't forget to watch everybody's video. Don't forget to like everybody's video. Don't forget to leave a comment. And if you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're doing with your life, because you don't watch a couple of videos, especially mine. You're going to watch them again anyway, so you might as well go ahead and subscribe so you know when they're coming up. Yeah. And don't forget to be a blessing. Don't forget to be blessed to be a blessing. And if to nobody else, do it to be a blessing to yourself. And I'll see you next week. Peace.